in my mind, business development in healthcare, in anything really, starts with a foundation. And that foundation is positioning, the positioning strategy you choose for a business. And upon that rests the marketing techniques, tactics, strategies, the content you create, the mechanism for follow up and outreach and sales. All of that stems from understanding positioning. So, what is positioning? At the very basics, and I mentioned this before, this is not an idea that I've come up with at all. There's actually a book called Positioning the Battle for Your Mind, I believe is the name of the book. It's by Trout and Race. I think it was written in 2001, 2002, early 2000s. But to quote their book, and I'm just going to straight read from their introduction here. So, positioning is not what you do to a product. Positioning is what you do to the mind of the prospect. That is, you position the product in the mind of the prospect. So, in healthcare specifically, positioning isn't something that we do to our service, to our treatment, to our software. It's not something we physically do to the product or alter the product in any way. Positioning is simply the way we communicate value, the value we create in healthcare for the specific stakeholder that is going to be the purchaser of that software, of that product, of that service, etc. The key here is to understand that you don't necessarily need to change the product a lot of times or solution to dial in a great positioning for your target market. The goal of positioning is to take that solution or product that you've developed, that you offer, that you whatever, the treatment you provide, and communicate its benefits or value in a way that appeals to your target market. So your positioning strategy at the end of the day is centered on identifying who that ideal customer is, the value you create for them, and then communicating what you do in a way that is compelling to that target market. So to quote that book again, Positioning a Battle for Your Mind, changes made in the name, in the price, and in the package or terms itself are really not changes in the product at all. They're basically cosmetic changes done for the purpose of securing a worthwhile position in the prospect's mind. So this requires, again, that you understand your target market, their challenges, their pain points, and all the potential solutions that could be available to them. What might they choose? For example, somebody with back pain might go see a pain management specialist for an injection. They might see some kind of prosthetics or orthotists for like a back brace. They might see physical therapy for exercises and strengthening. They might see a chiropractor for an adjustment. They might even go see a neurosurgeon or an orthopedic surgeon for surgery. So there's a wide range of options. So what you're doing in a positioning strategy, when you develop your positioning strategies, you're trying to differentiate the value you create, the benefits that you can provide to the customer, in this case, this low back pain patient, from all of the available substitutes out there. Because again, there's a handful of things this patient could do, or this prospective patient could do to alleviate their back pain. So your goal is basically to communicate the value that you do in a compelling manner so that the prospect chooses you and not your competitor, right? Put more clearly, effective healthcare positioning involves understanding who your product or solution serves and the context in which they'll be using your solution. So I've used this example before on several different podcasts. I know I've talked about it before in articles. I think I might even mention it in the book, Better Outcomes: A Guide to Humanizing Healthcare. But a couple guys that I listen to, their podcast is called The Two Bobs. Go check them out. They're professional services, business development podcasts, primarily in like the creative space, digital agencies and the like. But one of the hosts, Blair Enns, mentioned this on a training I did with him years and years ago, business development and sales training. He said, essentially, think about positioning a positioning statement as we do X for Y, where your X is the discipline or the service you provide, and the Y is your target market. And that's ultimately how you want to think very base level about positioning. So again, your positioning strategy is the foundation upon which all of your healthcare business development tasks, objectives, initiatives rest. So that starts with understanding what you do and for whom you do it or who you do it for. A healthcare positioning strategy or statement again defines what you do and for whom you do it. It can be easily stated as we do this, we provide this service for this target market. And again, that X is your product or your service of value you create, and Y is your stakeholder or targeted market. You can get creative about this. Some people will use their X as not just the service they provide, but the benefit they create, right? Like we help healthcare, mid-regional health systems provide, here's a good one. We provide full stack patient engagement softwares and platforms for mid-regional healthcare facilities or systems, right? That clearly defines what they do and for whom they do it. You could also say something like, maybe you're an RCM company, a revenue cycle management company. You could say something like, we help private healthcare practices combat low insurance reimbursement. So that again is it documents who you're helping and the value you create for them. It doesn't necessarily say we do revenue cycle management for those companies. Maybe you're trying to differentiate yourself. And what is the pain point? The pain point is low insurance reimbursements. So we help this target market, small private practices in maybe even niche down in the primary care space or the dentist space or physical therapy space, whatever. If you pick that, you niche down even more. We help this type of client combat or solve this specific pain point or problem. In this case, low insurance reimbursement. So that's how you think about, this is my positioning strategy or statement upon which I will build all of my business development initiatives, goals, tactics, the platforms you use, et cetera. All of that kind of stems from what is the positioning we're choosing as an organization.
If you'd like to learn more about Strata PT and see how our EMR and RCM works, head over to stratapt.com to book a demo.